So welcome to the first match of the evening. We're on Daybreak, spawning to the bottom left-hand corner in purple, playing Protoss for Psystorm, and the USA, it's Poizon. And to the upper right, our Terran player in red, playing for Euronics Gaming, and Austria, it's Sylvanas. So let's see what Sylvanas has in store this week. Last week she surprised us all with a lot of pretty untypical builds for her. Some might even consider calling them troll builds. Unfortunately didn't succeed against Piscalita, another Protoss player. So let's see what she can pull off this week against Poizon. Poizon already sending out her probe after the gateway, wants to get an early scout, wants to see whether she will be able to still get inside the main base of her opponent and yeah, get some scouting information. Last time we saw Sylvanas play on that map, she did a battlecruiser build, fast battlecruisers into mass mines and mass battlecruisers. Piscalita tried to counter it with a lot of stalkers, but it didn't quite work out, and Sylvanas eventually took the map. So let's see if Poizon actually studied her opponent or not, but is already being a nuisance here by planting down the pylon and blocking the reactor from the reactor of this barracks, which is always a little bit inconvenient. Also, you have to be afraid that your opponent might actually send over a mothership core to photon overcharge that pylon, which can be really problematic in the early minutes. So Sylvanas does not really mind, just pulled off 3 workers in order to get down that pylon quickly enough. Now even pulls a 4th one, really wants to make sure that no mothership core can over and photon overcharge before that pylon goes down. But of course that's a lot of lost mining time already. In the meantime, taking the command center down here. First Reaper is out, so she will probably send it across the map in just a second here in order to get some scouting information herself, while Poizon is busy taking her own base at the natural position. In the meantime, getting these oh, that's quite interesting. Now you can only see it if you move over it. That's just a reason because of the patch day, but never mind. In the meantime, getting an adept in order to get some more scouting information later on, and maybe even doing some harassment if possible. So adept already out. Reaper will just probably have to retreat immediately. Poizon was thinking that her opponent, or was assuming that her opponent would just jump into the main base, so she already shaded towards the main base, but then unfortunately the Reaper just retreated completely, so the shade was just for naught, and Poizon just has to stay here and will now take down these unbuildable plates because they are just annoying and you don't really need them, so you can just fire them away. And now we have the Reaper at the Zalnaga Watchtower. So let's see what Sylvanas is actually up to. She's going straight into factory after the reactor. Only has the reactor out in order to get some barracks units and to have a bunker here in order to help her defend against some early push shenanigans. But we might actually see... No, actually it's double factory, so quite interesting there. We'll see what's going to happen. Maybe a Cyclone build, maybe mass mines. I'm not quite sure what she's up to. It's, again, not a typical build out of her. That much I can say. It's nothing we have seen so far out of Sylvanas. So let's see what's going to happen. In the meantime, we have an Oracle in production for Poizon, and no real anti-air damage close to the mineral lines. We don't even have the Marines tucked back inside the mineral line, and 4 Marines wouldn't even suffice. I think you need at least 6 Marines in order to take down an Oracle without losing a worker. Because if the Oracle actually focus fires the Marines down, then you can actually kill a lot of Marines before the Oracle eventually dies. So let's see, yeah, we have a lot of mines, so I think the mines will actually, well, maybe quite not be out. Okay, unfortunately for Poizon, she just waits a little more before she sends the Oracle in. So at that point in time, I guess the Widow mines will already be in place. So the first Widow mine already taking its place close to the refinery. Second Widow mine is taking its place inside the mineral line of the main base. There the Oracle flies in. First shot going down, bam, destroys the Oracle right after only 1 kill. But in the meantime, we also have double multi-pronged harassment here with the Adepts, and 8 workers have already died to this Adept harassment down to the right-hand side. Probably maybe only 7 and 1 inside the main base. So Sylvanas unfortunately not able to defend everything. The Adepts, of course, had the possibility to just shade by the bunker right inside the mineral line, and no units were tucked back there. So Poizon just actually got a good amount of workers here already. 26 to 41 is the count right now. Going into Void Rays right behind it. Don't really know how much I actually like it. Seems as if Sylvanas is going more and more into mines. We'll probably just go for a mine drop here. And behind is getting an armory, so we'll probably just try to make the mines better and better. Seems as if she just wants to go into a mass mine build completely and destroy her opponent with that. Well, the problematic thing with that is that mines actually don't destroy buildings. So you would also need a few other units in order to take down the buildings, because that's the victory condition of every StarCraft game. Destroying your opponent's buildings. And only if the last building has fallen, you've actually won the game. Of course, very often this doesn't actually happen, because the opponent usually forfeits before that, realizing that he or she doesn't have a chance to come back into the game. But yeah, that's actually the victory condition, and Widow Mines, like I said before, can't really kill. Yeah, it seems as if it's really a mass mine build. We even see the drilling claws getting researched, an upgrade that makes Widow Mines burrow even faster than they usually do. So Sylvanas, well, might just as well, I didn't really think so. She really wants to get out a few mines into the mineral lines, because there they are annoying as fuck. Actually does it. Ooh, Poizon not reacting at all. She has a mothership core in place. Could have easily photon overcharge, but 7 workers already fall. In the meantime, we have another drop inside the main base. More probes dying, and the Stalker is also pretty bruised as well. Fortunately for her, she has some detection somewhere. There it is. There's the observer. So she at least can clear this up over here. I don't know if she's actually realized that there has been another explosion in here. It seems as if she was just so occupied with a drop inside her main base that she totally didn't realize that there were 2 other mines being planted down inside her natural base. So 7 more workers going down, and suddenly it's 36 to 40 workers for Sylvanas. So nice little move there by Sylvanas, getting so much damage done with only 2 medevac drops, actually even saving both medevacs there, only losing the Widow Mines, which are pretty cheap in comparison here. So yeah, that was a really cost-efficient harassment there, and that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of Protosses actually hate the Widow Mine, because it's pretty difficult for Protoss to defend at 2 different locations, because usually at that point in time, when the drop hits, you normally only have 1 observer out, so it will take quite some time. I mean, of course, you don't really have to suffer that much damage, you can just pull probes, but then of course you're losing mining time, taking indirect damage, so it's always just a nuisance once a Terran double drops mines into both of your mineral lines. It's just annoying as hell. And yeah, it seems as if Sylvanas might just actually drop the 3rd one as well. Maybe the 2nd one, maybe the natural base once again. We'll see to that later on. More barracks being produced, so it seems as if it's a mine marine follow-up. Like I said before, Sylvanas will not be able to win the game completely with Widow Mines. Although, of course, some people already, I already saw people forfeit against this. So there we have it. Drop of the Widow Mines. Both Widow Mines get burrowed. Poizon doesn't realize what's going on, and 12 more workers killed. But that's not only due to these Widow Mines, but there were 4 more Widow Mines planted down inside the main base, getting also an awful shot. So another 12 workers go down, and Poizon is so busy replacing her own workers and killing off these Widow Mines, unfortunately even forgetting those, just trying to hunt down that medevac over here, probably maybe with an F2 command, I don't know, but she pulls her whole army to kill off this medevac, totally forgetting about these 2 mines over here. So this Widow Mine actually got another shot, killing off 2 more probes in the process. And Sylvanas can actually retreat quite easily back towards home, is now producing more and more barracks. Poizon knows about this completely. She has an observer in place, so she sees that there are mines and more barracks being built. In the meantime, Sylvanas managed to get a 3rd base of her own up. Her economy is significantly better, especially with the help of the mules that were just called down. So, wow, I mean, it looks actually pretty good for Sylvanas right now. She's up 23 supply. She has a pretty annoying army composition here. Never underestimate the attack power of Widow Mines, especially against Protoss, because Widow Mines, at least in this patch, I don't know if they actually changed it, but I don't think so. Widow Mines deal extra damage to Protoss units due to the extra shield damage. So let's see. I mean, if she really can get into a good position. Okay, and right now Sylvanas just sees how many units are actually there. A lot of Void Rays, a lot of Stalkers, also some Adepts and Sentries, so she doesn't really want to engage with that small of a force. So she just retreats for now. Will be assembling more and more Marines and Widow Mines over here. And like I said, I mean, a direct engagement against mostly Gateway units could cause some trouble for Poizon. Poizon going into a Dark Shrine, if behind, Dark Shrine. And right now she actually is behind by quite a bit. The only thing that really speaks for her is the upgrade, and the Widow Mine still... What a mean position to burrow Widow Mine here, and it's still just constantly hitting the... and there finally Poizon realizes what's up, pulls the Observer back and kills off the Widow Mine. But yeah, what a mean spot to burrow the Widow Mine. Still getting 2 more hits with it. No Widow Mine over here. Okay, there's another Medivac flying across the map, having 4 Widow Mines loaded up. There are some cannons in here, but still, I mean, you still have the time to just unload them. Maybe the cannon, or the 2 cannons, depending on where you drop them, might actually be able to kill off at least one or kill off at least one of the mines, but then maybe the other 3 will still be able to shoot before the cannons can actually kill them. The cannons mostly are only good for seeing that, but the army is pretty close by, so let's see if Sylvanas will actually be able to do some damage. No! Blink forward and Poizon takes out the pesky Medivac before it can actually unload any of those mines. So at the meantime, we have an attack coming in from the right-hand side. Let's see. Okay, another drop by Poizon, just planting down another Widow Mine close to the natural base. Could actually just fortify the position for her push, but then suddenly realizes that she doesn't really want to attack right now anyways. So now we actually have a nice little setup of a lot of Medivacs, a lot of Marines, a lot of mines, and also 1 Liberator for now, which will no, actually getting more Vikings out. Don't really... Okay, she's probably seen the Colossus and the few Void Rays here, so it seems as if she just wants to have some anti-air, mostly against the Colossus, and she's actually right. The Colossus is actually the only thing that can really threaten the mass of Marines and Widow Mines. I mean, on the ground, Widow Mines and Marines just rule supreme. They can easily take out this force, especially if it engages right into the minefield. So Poizon has to be very careful when engaging. The only real pest inside this army composition for Sylvanas here is the Colossus. And with because the Colossus can just pick off the Marines, it does splash damage. It can also pick off the Widow Mines from afar. So once this unit is down, and the Medivacs will help out with dealing with the Colossus and later on the Colossi tremendously, then yeah, this should actually be quite a nice position here. Don't really know if the Widow Mine position is the best of all, but it doesn't really matter. And now the only thing that Sylvanas needs to do is lure Poizon into her minefield. I don't really know if... Poizon actually not realizing the minefield is up. And look at those Widow Mine connections! My god! Almost killing half of the army there. I mean, at least 6 to 7 units must have fallen there. So wow, that were really some good connections. Also bruising the other units like crazy. So I don't really know if Sylvanas actually had to retreat there. I mean, she does have stim, she does have combat shield. I think she might have even actually taken that fight with the mass Marines here, but she's not confident in doing so. So rather retreats a little bit, waits for a few more Vikings, waits for more mines and more army units to come in. Has already taken a 4th base. Which Poizon is only trying right now, and Poizon's still a little bit behind in economy. I mean, she only has the almost same amount of workers. Wow, trying to take out these Void Rays and the Colossus from afar with only the Vikings over here. Oh no, probably, okay, no, never mind. She was probably just A-moving all of her army towards that point, and air units, being air units and not limited to the ground routes, just flew across these... destructible rocks here, and unfortunately flew right into Poizon's army. But yeah, Sylvanas just quickly retreated everything back towards her 4th base, which she turns into, which she's turning into a planetary fortress right now. So Poizon will be on 4 bases. She has a little few more workers, but of course Terran has mules, which results in a way better mineral income here. The gas income actually not that important for Terran. But of course, if Sylvanas wants to tech into more Vikings and maybe into even some more Liberators, that's of course something she really wants to have. By now she actually already has 10 Vikings there, so the Vikings should actually just easily take down these Void Rays over here. Seems as if Poizon just prepares to walk across the map, maybe attacking her opponent, could be quite problematic here. Seems as if Sylvanas is preparing for a little drop over here. Maybe just wants to hit the main base again. There are 3 Stalkers plus a Photon Cannon in place, but there are 2 Medivacs. So let's see. I mean, Poizon might actually be able to take out 1 Medivac before it might even actually land. And then with only 1 Medivac dropping units bit by bit, this might actually hurt her quite a lot. So there goes, first Medivac is down, other one is pretty bruised, so actually Poizon takes it out before any units come out. Great pickoff there by Poizon there, getting the drop, completely destroying it without taking any damage whatsoever. And the longer the game goes, the more problematic it might become for Sylvanas. In the meantime, Poizon managed to get High Templars out and is now researching Psionic Storm, and with Storm out and 4 Colossi, this army engagement might be pretty problematic. So like I said before, I think Sylvanas just might have missed the best opportunity to take out Poizon's army completely just a few minutes ago when the army was still small and Poizon was still on only 1 Colossus. And now is losing her whole army here, losing all of the Vikings, losing all of the Marines and all of the Widowmines. In the meantime, we have a small drop over to the left-hand side as well, dealing some economic damage. Yeah, it's a nuisance, but I don't really think that it will save Sylvanas from, well, maybe dying later on. She buys herself some time to produce more units. Her macro is quite on point right now. She gets the weapons level 3 upgrade, but the upgrades of Poizon are also on point. One medevac escapes, and the most important part for her is that she hasn't lost her important units. Yeah, she lost 1 Colossus, but that's just negligible, no problem here. She can easily replace that later on, and maybe even just wants to open the supply in order to get other units out, like Tempests. Adds a Stargate here, will probably just go into more Tempests afterwards, or maybe even Carriers. We'll see, but time is running out for Sylvanas. Like I said before, I think she really missed the best opportunity. Dark Templars trying to be annoying over at the right-hand side, but a scan at the Planetary Fortress easily take care of that. We have a bunker close to the orbital command and a missile turret, so DT harassment will also not work over here. For the DTs, in order to come or to get inside the main base, it would have to fly through the sensor tower, so it would actually get spotted pretty easily. Inside the natural base, well, there's actually not much to harass anyways, and there's also a missile turret plus a bunker here, so seems as if everything's protecting itself by itself. So that's of course the best thing that can always happen if you don't really have to have a look at that. So if we just have a look at the workers kill tab, we see that Sylvanas actually managed to kill 50 workers with all of her Widow Mines during the time. Poizon couldn't really get much done with her harassment here, because Sylvanas would either not allow it, and on the other side, on the other hand, Poizon was just always busy defending at home because Sylvanas was pretty aggressive with her mine drops. So, having gained a big lead, it seems that Sylvanas is struggling a little bit, and I think this is actually the same thing here, just commanding her army over to like a spot somewhere around here, and the air units just taking the direct route, maybe almost even flying right into the army. So it seems as if we will have another big engagement. This time around we have some Widow Mines in place, but like I said before, the Colossi are a nuisance. If you just send the Colossi across, okay, it seems as if there was a little Dark Templar harassment here, but the Planetary Fortress took care of that. In the meantime, Poizon to establish a 5th base and a 6th base over here, but it seems as if Sylvanas has already sniffed it out. No, it's probably just assuming that something is going on. So she's just moving over here. Yeah, she was probably expecting her opponent to have a 5th base over here by now. So nice little setup of the Liberators here. The Stalkers come first. Liberators are already taking down a few of these units. Now they actually have to fight underneath the Liberation Zone, and the Widow Mines are there as well. I don't know, this could actually be quite a good fight for Sylvanas here. The damage output of the Marines just being amazing here. The Colossi not really shooting at the biggest amount of the bio, and the Vikings actually taking out all of the other units. So seems as if Sylvanas actually has taken out the base over here, has still got some army units left, while Poizon has been in full retreat for quite some time, and now just can only come back in order to take out the rest of the remaining units. I think Sylvanas should actually just maybe retreat from here on out, but the reinforcements arrive just in the nick of time, taking out the rest of the robotics forces and also of the Stargate forces, now taking out the pylon over here as well, and it seems as if Poizon is actually out of units. She dropped below 100 supply. She's waiting for a carrier to arrive, but I think by the time the carrier arrives, Sylvanas's reinforcements will also have arrived, since they only have a short route through this pathway that got cleared earlier on. And yeah, now we just have the amazing damage output of a bio ball, with the help of a few Vikings that will probably even easily take out the carriers here once they pop. So I can't really see Poizon winning this game anymore from that on out. The most important thing is that Sylvanas just killed one of the important mining bases. She doesn't know about that base over here, so that might be Poizon's saving grace, but it just doesn't look like likely. I mean, Sylvanas now doubling the supply of Poizon here. Sylvanas just pressing into the main base. There's not much she can do. She has she sends in some zealots over here, even has some Dark Templars that Sylvanas is not aware about. Now finally the carriers pop, but the Vikings can actually two-shot the carriers here, killing the first one in an instant and another one just a few seconds later. And now it seems as if all of the it seems as if all of the units got fought. Okay, finally another warp in. Seems as if Sylvanas is just out of scans and out of units, so she has to retreat for now. But like I said before, I don't really know if it actually matters. More and more reinforcements streaming in from the right-hand side. Sylvanas is also running low on minerals, but she has a lot of bases up that she can use. This Dark Templar blocking that command center over here quite nicely, so it can't really mine anymore. But yeah, we have a healthy mining base over here. We have another at least mining base, although it's not very healthy over here. We even have more command centers just waiting to produce. She will probably just clear off that Dark Templar, land this command center, and then will, after scanning this base over here and now knowing about it, she will probably just move across the map, kill this one off, and then it should be GG for Poizon. She has some more seconds left, probably more seconds than minutes. The army is already on its way. She only has a few zealots here, no AoE whatsoever. They are two Templars, but they don't have enough energy for a storm. Will she get storm? But even if she does, I don't really feel as if it would be enough. So now the remaining forces, Sylvanas not even stutter stepping here, knowing that she doesn't need to. Two storms go down, but it's just not enough. The remaining base will die, or at least all of the probes will have to be pulled. So almost no mining anymore for Poizon. We will probably just see her income drop significantly in just a few seconds over here. So now finally cleared of the Dark Templar over here, will be able to land the command center, and this should be it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to spoil the fun, but seems as if Sylvanas finally broke through with all of her forces. More and more bio forces streaming across the map, just checking for a fourth base over here, just checking, no, okay, that's just Poizon units, never mind, but she might actually be checking for the base over here once more, or maybe just go right into the natural base, trying to take out the main base. Let's see where her army moves to, and that's actually her goal. Just wants to get inside the main base, might even kill the natural right before that. But yeah, I think that's actually really a waste of time. You could just easily walk right into here where all the important tech buildings are and can take them out quite easily. In the meantime, okay, yeah, that's it. GG, and Sylvanas takes the first map. We're on Echo for the second match of this best of 5. Spawning to the top left hand side in purple we have Poizon. And to the bottom right, it's Sylvanas in red, who just managed to beat her opponent with a nice little mass mine drop opening into mass Marines and Widow Mines and Vikings, and eventually just whittled down her opponent. The early harassment was actually pretty problematic for Poizon to deal with. And it is quite difficult for every Protoss once a Terran actually commits to multi-pronged harassment involving mines at several locations. And like I said before, at that point in time, once the mine drop hits, as a Protoss you usually only have one observer for detection. So you have to at least evacuate one mineral line, which just causes you a lot of lost income. So even if you don't do that much drone damage, or that much probe damage, you don't kill that many workers, it's still a problem for you as a player because you lose so much mining time. You're taking a lot of indirect damage. And of course you also have to invest a lot of APM into getting the workers back to work, killing off the widow mines at every location, and then suddenly getting back to your own game, which usually just gets messed up. Everything you want to do just gets messed up in the progress, or in the process, I'm sorry for that. And yeah, that's also just a nuisance. So, assimilator already out, we are getting the cybernetics core, but no more gas. I don't know if this is an accident or if she is doing it on purpose. She doesn't really have any gas income here, so she won't be able to even get... Now she finally realizes that she has, so she wouldn't even be able to get the upgrade for the gateways. Now she will. So seems as if she just but it seems as if she just wanted to do it. I think she will just have enough gas. Well, maybe not quite. We'll just have to wait a little bit more, especially now with the adept incoming. So I think that was just a small little mistake here, just forgetting about the assimilator and sending workers in. Otherwise it would have been a quite neat build here, where she just got out a few more minerals. I don't really know for what, maybe for an expand, but what's out there anyways. So, well, probably just a mistake. In the meantime, Sylvanas sending over the Reaper. Pretty common opening here for her. The more interesting thing is, what will she do right behind it? Getting another barracks here, so maybe it's going to be a normal 2-1-1. But we can't really tell yet. In the meantime, we have a bunker out for Sylvanas as well. Maybe not the best position for a bunker once more, because as we've seen in the game before, adepts can just easily shade by that bunker and get inside the mineral line, and then the bunker, of course, won't really be of any help defending this mineral line. So sometimes you might actually just want to have it tucked back a little bit more, so that you will be able to also cover your mineral line, mostly with the bunker and the units inside it. But yeah, of course, there are still some spots where adepts can shade and will probably not be in range of that bunker, so, well, whatever. But then if you... Yeah, okay, then the question, why plant that bunker down anyways? So maybe just for 2 base all-ins, or maybe for proxy plays, then it might be a good thing to have. But in most cases, standing such far in front of the base, or so far away from the orbital command, is probably not really getting you the results you actually want it to do for you. So in the meantime, we have Stimpack incoming, 1 factory, 1 starport. So yeah, it's actually the good old 2-1-1. Seems as if Sylvanas is just doing the build we saw Grizzly do a lot yesterday, which would actually mean that she's just producing a lot of Marines here, trying to get out 60 Marines before the first medevacs pop, and then just maybe fly across the map, dropping with these 16 Marine drop. Actually, a tactic you usually use against Zerg, but you can also be kind of effective against Protoss. It really depends which spot you hit, at what point in time you hit it, and how much defenses are up at that point in time. Well, we'll see how much damage it's actually going to deal. So, 2 medevacs already in production. Stim, everything will line up quite nicely here. Stim will be done once the medevacs arrive at Poizon's base. Also getting a Widow Mine into the fray as well. So, nice little harassment there. Let's see if she will do it double-pronged. So, if she will send 1 medevac over to the natural base and 1 medevac over to the main base, which will make it significantly more difficult for Poizon to deal with. We have a pylon in place, but the mothership core is quite out of position. Where is the mothership core? There is one here. Oh, it's over here. Well, quite far away actually from everything. So, in the meantime, Poizon trying to deal some damage herself, harassing her opponent with a Warp Prism. So, where are the medevacs? There are the medevacs. There are the units, but Sylvanas is not really loading them in right now. What's her vision? I mean, she's just seen a little bit over here. Now there's the load-in, and the army units now move across the map right when the warp prism actually warps in a few more units. So it seems as if Poizon actually wants to do some multi-pronged harassment as well, dropping some units inside the main base, while these 3 adepts will try to deal some damage at the front. Won't really be able to do so since there's the bunker. Will now shade in, we'll probably see it, and hopefully not let them finish. Oh, she does, unfortunately not watching while she's dropping at the same point and at the same time. So these adepts will probably just get annihilated easily without dealing any real damage. At the meantime, we have Sylvanas obviously trying to fly in, but then not really flying in, just returning. Don't know if that was an F2 move maybe? Yeah, or just returning because she saw that the warp prism actually warped in even more adepts here. So now, of course, everything's loose inside Sylvanas' base. Poizon just dealing lots of damage here. The only thing she needs to take care of is just avoid these liberator zones. And now the rest of the drop finally arrives at home, trying to deal with these adepts. But it's only a few marines, and the adepts are actually dealing quite some damage here, trying to get inside the main base. But Sylvanas reacted quite nicely here. Already has the supply depot raised up, so the rest of Poizon's units finally die. But of course, there's still the warp prism inside the main base. Even more adepts now shading towards the SCVs over here that are still pretty vulnerable. In the meantime, we have more stalkers getting warped in as well. Sylvanas only has a few marines, will not actually be able to produce more units or enough units out of her own out of her own production facilities in order to deal with this force. And Sylvanas realizes this game is lost. GG's out, and Poizon ties the series 1-1. Newkirk Precinct is the 3rd map of this best of 5. We have Sylvanas to the left and Poizon to the right. So let's see how these 2 ladies plan to prevail over each other. Last game, Poizon managed to get out a nice little surprise attack with her warp prism, warping in a lot of units right when Sylvanas was ready to drop her own units inside Poizon's base. Had to retreat with everything, but at that point in time it was just too late. The forces Sylvanas had at home did not suffice to kill off Poizon's units and the incoming warp-ins afterwards. So Sylvanas just tried her best, fighting with the units she had, pulling workers even, but eventually didn't succeed and had to give up, had to GG out. So now it's a 1-1, and the game has become a regular best of 3. Let's see who's going to take the next lead in this best of 5. So both just sending a worker out to scout for a little bit. Poizon sees the gas, sees the barracks, nothing all too uncommon. Will now expect a Reaper probably, but might have just assumed a Reaper anyways, because it's just the typical standard opening for Terran. So gateway being down, another gateway right behind it after the cybernetics course. So we actually might see some more adapt play, maybe even some more drop play. There's a pretty short distance via air route. So a drop would actually just be something one might think of when seeing this map. So early base for Sylvanas on the low ground as usual. No base inside for Poizon yet, so seems as if she really wants to get out a few units before expanding. Sylvanas has seen this so far, sees that the one gateway is actually being chrono boosted. And it's the gateway, not the cybernetics core. Quite interesting there. So mothership core out now. And Poizon just taking her sweet time to expand. Will probably expand right behind this, I guess. I don't really think she wants to go into a one-base play. And there we have it, 400 minerals down. Ooh, but Sylvanas with a place here. Being annoying as hell, planting down an engineering bay. Making it a little bit more problematic for Poizon to get up her base, to expand. So this will take quite some time, and it seems as if Poizon just actually doesn't want to waste it shooting at that engineering base, so she rather just wants to send her units across the map and then maybe get inside the natural base, dealing damage to themselves. So let's see if they will be able to do something. I mean, seems as if Sylvanas is probably is pretty oblivious of this fact. Is not really doing anything. We don't. There's the bunker getting in, but like we said before, this bunker can just be easily avoided. There we have the shade in. No bunker down yet. We only have 2 Marines and a Reaper there. SCV gets taken down right. Okay, not right. Okay, now it gets taken down. So no bunker for Sylvanas at the moment. We have the probe and the stalkers taking out the eBay down here. In the meantime, more harassment. No more harassment by the Poizon. Is probably just preoccupied with something else somewhere, maybe planting down some buildings. In the meantime, we have the Mothership Corps just coming into the main base, taking off a few more workers before being driven away by that missile turret. So again, nice little harassment there by Poizon, being pretty relentless with all of her units. Yeah, can't really do that much with her adepts. That might be while she's just standing around with them. I mean, there are no units down here, and she can't really engage upwards the ramp. She already knows that. Ooh, Sylvanas even attacking with SCVs and Marines. So, yes, Poizon seems as if she just wants to still deal some more damage. Okay, ooh, doing the nice tricks here. Tricking Sylvanas into believing that she would probably just shade there, or shade into there, but then cancelling the shades just at the last moment, yeah. So, a big problem here for Sylvanas, not really knowing where the shades will, or where the adepts actually will end up being. So she just has to move around and around and around, and then again, of course, adepts can easily take on a few Marines themselves, no problem there, because they have just way more health and shields, and they also deal more damage than the Marines do. So Sylvanas has to be careful here if she wants to fight against the Adept straight up, but by now she has 8 Marines out. So seems as if, yeah, okay, this one Sylvanas reacts quite in time, just lifts the depot, won't allow these Adepts to get in. Poizon actually shades in once more, but only gets 1 more SCV here, so that was really not worth it in the end. But let's have a look at the resources lost tab. Still looking kind of okay for Poizon here. She did some damage. She's ahead in workers. Both players have their minds up. There. Oh my god! Both players have their nexus up and are already mining from both of their bases. So, second forge being added for Poizon. Seems as if she wants to prepare for the late game. So we might actually even see a third base pretty soon here. Otherwise, why make so many forges in order to get out a few more upgrades? In the meantime, Sylvanas trying to seal off the entrance towards her natural base, just in case we have more adepts trying to shade in, because that's something that Sylvanas doesn't really want to allow anymore. But the worker, the production line actually looks pretty good here for Sylvanas. If we have a look at the income tab, it's pretty even, more gas for Protoss, which is pretty normal, and also Terran doesn't really need as much gas as Protoss does. So, Observer getting sent towards the main entrance, so Poizon now has at least a little bit of an idea what's expecting her over here. Just flies in the Observer a little bit more, now sees the whole army and where it is. She will actually not be able to engage this with this army, I feel. I mean, she has some force fields here, so she might be able to actually keep some units back. I mean, with good force fields here, like getting upwards the ramp and maybe planting down force fields along this line, just keeping all of these units away from the bunker, she might be able to take it down without taking too much damage, but I don't know if it would really be worth it. So in the meantime, we have another harassment over here. So again, it seems as if Poizon just going for the multi-prong attack, wants to probably just lure her opponent towards the front, where she can just always disengage and just always get back while dealing the real damage behind. Well, we'll see. I mean, if she really unloads in here and also warps in more units and Sylvanas realizes what's going on, then of course it's not like the dealing damage in the Echo. Sylvanas has no idea so far, does not really look on the minimap, has not been pulling any of these SCV, and now the Adepts finally moving in. At the same time, the rest of the army moves in as well. Okay, she's already trying to retreat with most of the unit, but then she realizes, oh my god, my front is under attack as well. Most of the Adepts actually shading in from behind, now trying to take out these forces as well. Liberator arrives, will at least help defending this ramp over here. Second Liberator as well will also help defending the ramp. Well, I think that was a misplacement, no. That's actually pretty odd, planting that Liberator like that. I mean, there's no Protoss whatsoever here, and that Liberator is actually showing its ass towards these Stalkers, just waiting to get shot down from the right angle there. So that was really a little bit odd, but doesn't matter. Sylvanas holds, and Poizon has to retreat for now. Well, we can now argue if that was really the best decision to warp in all of these units, not trying to take out a lot of resources over here or a lot of workers over here and then maybe just retreating, but shading in everything towards the natural base where a lot of units were waiting. And then of course the Liberators were another cause of trouble. So in the meantime, Poizon managed to get up her third base right behind that attack, but she doesn't really have that many units, and she doesn't even have detection. Mobile detection. Okay, finally got a robotics facility. Will now produce an observer here. Oh no, actually she had an observer, so yeah, but I think it died somewhere over here. She had an, oh no, there, it's still there. Okay, so she had an observer over here, never mind. And now of course the big problem will be engaging this army. I mean, getting under the liberation zones is never a good idea, especially if Stim Bio is standing right underneath it, and some Widow Mines as well. So again, like the only thing that Sylvanas actually needs to do is just take good trades, maybe lure the army right into the mines. And I don't actually know if Poizon is aware that the mines are there. Yes, she has some detection somewhere. Don't really know where, but it was there, revealing the Widow Mines, and she actually took them out. But now most of her army has died. The Liberators are getting closer towards the natural base, besieging the ramp now. More and more units streaming across the map, even a tank in the fray. And Poizon just desperately trying to warp in more units, taking out a Liberator at a time without getting too close to the immense firepower of these bio forces. Some of these Stalkers unfortunately not shooting. Now the rest of the Stalkers trying to focus fire down, the units trying to focus fire down the Marauder, but even right at that point in time when Poizon finally managed to clear off the forces that had already been there, new forces arrive right at the main entrance. It's pretty close, but I think with a second warp in here, Poizon should be barely able to hold. With the Immortal coming out, even the tank is not really a big problem anymore, and Poizon succeeds in pushing this back. Wow, that was actually pretty close here. Looked for a minute there as if Sylvanas could eventually break through, but Poizon just got out of that situation magnificently, and now she's up one base, which might be her saving grace. Well, Sylvanas already managed to take a third base of her own, but just inside her main is now flying it towards the third base location, the forward location here, which is not all too uncommon for Terran. Sylvanas wants to be aggressive even more later on, I feel, so if you just want to push this lane anyways, you might as well just put bases in the line of it. So you will protect them while pushing. That's just the idea. Loading into Medivacs, will probably just try to harass the base over here. In the meantime, we also have the Warp Prison loading in for Poizon, trying to deal some more harassment damage inside the main base. We might even see a big warp in. The army is not aware of it at all. Oh, seems as if Sylvanas actually decided against the push, or against the drop. Okay, now this time around Sylvanas reacts way earlier, sees that the Warp Prism is warping in units, marches back, evacuates the workers from the mineral line, so there's not that much damage to be dealt. Ooh, Sylvanas actually even shading inside the natural base, but all of the troops had been waiting there. So it seems as if Poizon unfortunately shaded over there without actually looking where the units would come out, or where the shade would end and the units would just retake their form. So these army forces just got obliterated. Sylvanas just plants down a few turrets that will help her defend against these pesky drops, and is now moving forwards towards the main location. Ooh, Poizon, she likes to use her stasis ward. Let's see if Sylvanas runs right into it, or if she actually knows that something's going on. Well, we'll probably not get all too many units, but it's still kind of a nuisance, especially since the Widow Mines actually got into the stasis ward, which is really, yeah, a bit annoying here. These would have provided nice area of effect damage, but now it doesn't matter. Nice little force fields over here, just splitting the army into two. But again, the firepower of Poizon's army just not as big. She still just doesn't have any AoE dealers at all. And the longer the game goes, and the longer you just have to face a Terran Bioforce without any AoE damage, the more problematic the game gets. So now finally getting Templar's Archive, might even be able to get Storm out, but she will probably lose that third base. There's just no way for her to actually engage. Nicely intercepting here, nice interception here of the reinforcing units by Sylvanas, but like I said before, a direct engagement is just something she shouldn't take. Losing a hell of a lot of units over here, dropping below 100 supply, even with the Widow Mines being right set up behind those Liberators that finally got taken out. As Sylvanas just manages to take out the third base and is now on 3 bases herself, while Poizon just fell back to 2. And these 2 bases are not looking healthy, I can tell you. The bigger problem actually is that she might just directly die here. I can't really see her defending that push. I mean, yeah, you would have to push upwards that ramp. There are 2 photon cannons. We're even gonna get an Archon for some splash damage here. But with a Liberator set up, with the tank already firing upwards that ramp, with the Widow Mines covering the retreat path of Sylvanas, woo, I can't see Poizon win this anymore. I mean, she's just waiting for the Terran to come, just wants to get more and more units and is playing very patiently. I like this a lot. Even sacrificing the cannons over here, knowing that she won't be able to take the fight right now, just using 1 photon overcharge on that 1 pylon to even buy more time. But of course, the longer this takes, the more ahead Sylvanas actually gets. She has a 3rd base up, she even can build another 4th if she wants to, and now uses one of the Liberators to take out the War Prism as well, so no more harassment possibilities anymore. Poizon trying to push through, sends the Archon in front, so it will take most of the damage, but again, like I said, the immense firepower of the upgraded and stimped Marines and Marauder will just almost take everything out that's in the ground. We still don't have the Templars. The Templars Archive is ready, but we don't have any Storms, we don't have any High Templars. Poizon desperately trying to warp in more units, but like I said before, gateway units alone just won't do the trick against the bioforces that are there, especially not against the bioforces that are even reinforcing. And it seems as if Sylvanas has broken Poizon. 120 to 48 supply, no 3rd base, the natural base is almost dry, the main base is already dry, a lot of workers not even working because there's no space to work at. And yeah, more and more units are streaming across the map. Just have a look at the red dots on the mini-map. The natural base will fall, and I think this is just the frustration keeping Poizon from GGing out at that point in time. The remaining Archons moving in. GG! And Sylvanas takes the lead with a 2-1. Whirlwind is our 4th map. Sylvanas, who spawned at the top right-hand location, is leading 2-1, while Poizon has to win 2 in a row in order to take this best of 5. Let's see if she will be able to do it. Poizon chose Whirlwind, so she might actually have a plan. I don't know if Whirlwind of all maps was the best choice. Don't actually know what I don't actually know which 2 maps both players vetoed. But yeah, maybe the other map that was left would have even been worse, so that's why Poizon maybe chose Whirlwind. But Whirlwind, I think in the PvT, can be considered as Terran favored. You have a lot of wide open space that can be abused for drops, for Liberators, for any sort of shenanigans. There's also a problem with taking a... Oh my god. There's also a problem with taking a 3rd base anywhere. If you take it over here, Terrans can just drop here, and once the army comes, they can just drop into the main base and then drop into the 3rd base again. So defending that, especially early on, when you don't have that many units, can become a big problem. And yeah, taking it over here, there's still that big area where you can just siege up Liberators, and it's still pretty difficult to get close to them, taking them down. You will almost always lose a lot of Stalkers in the process. So yeah, that's Like I said, I think in PvT we can consider this map Terran favored. But still, let's see what Poizon's plans are for that map. So far we don't see anything spectacular or new. We have the usual opening for Sylvanas, going into Reaper and the expansion and at the low ground. Poizon's still trying to find her opponent. Sorry, the wrong one. Has not managed to find her opponent, but will now know where her opponent actually is. Might actually cause her to hide some of her tech here. Maybe she might be going into Dark Templars. We'll just hide the tech somewhere over here, because it's quite odd that she's not using this probe anymore in order to scout, and that she hasn't even set the probe onto the typical shift command that would make you click here, and then click to the last base in order, or the last possible base position, in order to move the probe from A to B. But yeah, seems as if she wants to build a proxy after having realized where her opponent is. So Reaper getting inside the main base, but gets shut away or gets shut down by the Adept over here. So Poizon's still waiting for enough minerals, I feel, in order to plant down a pylon. In the meantime, we have a factory, another factory right no, oh sorry, that was a command center. I was just too amazed, thinking that it might be another Widowmine play once more, but it's just one factory and a command center right behind it. Quite interesting there, with only one barracks here, changing it up a little bit. So still nothing happening over here. Don't really know what Poizon is waiting for, but getting a Twilight Council inside her main base, so not really hiding anything. Reaper saw the Twilight Council. Don't know if Sylvanas actually had enough time to click on that building to see what it was, because the Reaper almost immediately got killed by that pylon overcharge. But, maybe she saw it, maybe she didn't. It shouldn't surprise her much anyway. I mean, it's just the typical opening for Protoss anyways, getting the Robo first and then the Twilight Count immediately afterwards. So nothing all too uncommon. So even if she didn't actually see what the Twilight Council was, she can actually assume what it was. So third base almost done for Sylvanas, going into a quick expansion here. Poizon has still her probe out. She might still be able to just get a warp-in pylon close to the third base, the potential third base. She doesn't really know yet, or she can't really know that her opponent will try to take indeed the third base over here. Factory now switching with the starport, so medevac production will just start in a second. In the meantime, we get more barracks done to macro up and get a bigger force. Seems as if Sylvanas just wants to play in a standard macro game, getting a bigger army and then maybe steamrolling across her opponent with stim. Hitting the correct timing, it might actually work, but only if your opponent is actually just playing worse macro-wise, and Poizon does not really seem to do that. I mean, she's at 39 workers to 36, looking pretty nicely. Scanning for third base, it's not there, might be over here, of course, but seems as if there's already also been a scan over here, if you just have a look at the minimap. So Sylvanas actually knows that her opponent is probably still on two bases. Of course, on Whirlwind, since Whirlwind is such a big map, it could be possible, or it's actually something that a lot of players do, to take just ninja expansions somewhere around the map. Since if you only play on like one half of the map, you usually forget or tend to forget that all of these other expansions exist. And then you also often forget that you also have the possibility to build hidden expansions in order to get ahead. Poizon now sending a warp prism across the map. Nice movement here, flying straight towards that watchtower that her own probe was guarding. We'll now just load in a few units. We have Adepts once more. I might actually just try the same attack she did in Game 2, where she flew inside the main base and then just warped in more and more units, but there are units in place. We have a tank close towards the orbital command. We also have some Marines with medevacs in position, so I don't really think that Poizon's harassment will be successful. This time around it's also not multi-pronged, but she's taking a third base actually quite earlier than her opponent. Sylvanas has only used the third command center. in order to get out more workers more quickly. So here it goes, the Warp Prism flies in, we have a Viking in here and some Marines, but Poizon realizes what's going on early enough, flies away, but the Viking of course is trying to chase the Warp Prism, but the Warp Prism actually being too quick for the Viking should actually easily escape. Maybe we'll come back later, but not for now. Sensor Tower now in the making, seems as if Sylvanas really wants to know when her opponent comes close to her natural base entrance, and might now actually send a few workers out towards the third base. Here she goes. We'll probably just now try to saturate it a little bit later than her opponent. So I'd actually give Poizon the economic advantage here, since her own base, well, of course that base is already done, so Sylvanas will be able to saturate it a little bit earlier, while Poizon still has to wait for this base to finish. So now we can actually say that Poizon is ahead. I mean, if we just have a look here, especially with the mules now, Sylvanas is keeping up with the mineral production quite easily, and they are both pretty even on the gas count, so it doesn't really matter as much. Yeah, and now Poizon will finally have the chance to produce more workers in order to saturate her own third, while Sylvanas has already started to do it. So yeah, actually maybe even Sylvanas being a little bit ahead. Also with the upgrades, so Sylvanas already going into 1-1 upgrades, while Poizon is only building the 2 forges, but that doesn't really matter as much. If the game actually goes on for a little bit longer, Poizon will still have the possibility to chrono boost these forges, and thus getting the upgrades out a little bit quicker than her opponent. But Sylvanas' 1-1 has already finished. She will probably start 2-2 in just a few seconds. Here it goes. 2-1 at least. Doesn't have the resources for 2-2 yet, but will probably just press the button in a few seconds here, I guess. So in the meantime, Poizon moving out a little bit, trying to get a better position to defend all of her bases here. Might even want to get a little bit more aggressive, but of course due to these sensor towers it will be a lot more problematic for her to actually surprise her opponent, because she will have to walk into the circle way before she actually meets the army, except for this position over here, which she might try to abuse, but there's already tanks in the fray, we already have some Vikings. Sylvanas actually totally knows what she's up against. So Liberators already planting down the liberation zones. Unfortunately it's only 2, not 3. A third one would have secured that part over here as well. Poizon blinking in right in front of those tanks, taking some massive hits of these, and the Vikings and the Bio to the left hand side just kill off the other 2 Colossi, just leaving one totally undefended here, and while it's retreating it even gets shot down. Sylvanas now has the total army lead, 76-16, going for the counter push here right into the third base, and I don't see Poizon holding this at all. The liberations in that position are pretty horrible for her. It's very difficult for her to engage, especially the tank over here. In order to attack it, she would have to walk right into tank fire and also into the liberator zone. So wow, that could be actually pretty problematic. This cannon over here won't last for long. No more warp-ins available right now for Poizon. Poizon again very patiently waiting for another warp-in round that might actually help her to deal with this push, but it's pure bio against pure Stalker forces. Stalkers now jump and now blinking right underneath these Liberator, trying to take out as many as they can, but actually don't even succeed in taking out one, because the reinforcing bio took out these Stalkers before they could actually deal with it. Okay, at least, well, nice little move there by Poizon, teleporting all of her probes out of this danger zone here back home, so saving the probes at least, but losing the third one is already a big blow, especially with Sylvanas having a third already up and building a fourth right behind it. And of course it doesn't help her against this massive bioforce that will now just move into the natural base, and there are just too few units. At least one Colossus got out again. It might help out a little bit against these bio forces, but the Vikings come in, will probably just 3-shot this Colossus, and since there's no more forces on the ground left anymore, the bio forces can actually fight against this Colossi head-on. GG, and Sylvanas takes the series 3-1.